when you look at a projector, like a floodlight, in the beginning, you're gonna see like a big blurred, spots of light. But as you zoom in, you're gonna see that there is a structure around, and you're gonna go through the light. But your telescopes don't go through the light; they just like absorb light and just like blind us. So you took a picture of many stars, and you have one star with the chromatic aberration, but all the other stars that don't have no chromatic aberration.
You got the point, yes.
You've got a triangle on the top, you've got a triangle on the bottom, and you've got what appears to be like a rectangle in the middle. We haven't seen anything like it.
So welcome, my friend. Welcome. We're going to be able to speak a little bit. So we got together because of that video I made, right? That telescope conspiracy, video I made. So we had a few, comments and exchanges, and then we decided to just, to talk together. So tell me a little bit, what do you have to say about, about what you saw in that video? I saw on Facebook that you made some pictures of the moon with ETX 90 mid, and a cell phone. Yeah, I saw nice pictures of the moon. So actually, it's to use the phone. It's a good idea to use the phone, but in the video, what we are saying is that when you look at all the telescopes in the world, small telescopes, big telescopes, they give pictures of the stars that all look the same, and it's normal when you're used to it, because all stars are maybe the same, but like you saw in the video, we have a guy that started taking pictures with only binoculars and a cell phone. And somehow he got lucky, I don't know, but he got some pictures of Sirius and some Capella, and that we never saw before. Like that doesn't come close to what all the telescopes can show us, even NASA's Hubble telescope or whatever they have. So that's what started to make us think about what's out there, and how come we don't see more details of the stars. That's the whole point. So
For about that, well,
yes.
you can't really judge by phone image. I use them many times, and the first thing and most important thing they suffer from is noise, electronic noise, to be specific.
Yes.
This noise can appear as structural, as structure as you saw in the video. It is normal to have in phone image. And added to the software that phones use, it softens that noise and appears as structure in the background, like the black structures you talked about in your video.
What you're saying is that when you say you cannot trust the pictures of the phone, is because what does it do? Like there are like some aberrations or something. That's what you're trying to tell me. Like it's like
There are aberrations. There is electronic noise, especially electric noise. Just a second to let me show you. We
yes.
have this one is Orion Nebula.
Okay.
I took it it was around last summer,
Yes.
late August, I think. You can see the stars here do have a structure to them. You can see here, They have different shapes, different, and that's all because of aberrations. Not it's not the actual form of the star.
I agree with you 100% on that picture. But if I show you another picture, I won't be able to agree with you because aberrations cannot do this. What I'm gonna show you. You look at that picture.
Mm-hmm.
Um, no aberration, whatever it is, chromatic aberration, whatever aberration can do this. But you cannot create shapes with that precision. That's will be like a mirage, not an aberration.
Okay.
That's what we figured it out. We know what aberrations are. So before to do that video or anything, we know that that these kinds of pictures cannot be that cannot come from aberrations. You see that?
Yes, yes, I do.
You see.
Mm-hmm.
So that cannot be considered as an aberration, even though it's a little, it's not exactly, precise, but it cannot be an aberration. So that's a star. I believe this is a star Sirius, and you see that there is like some kind of a frequency. It means that has nothing to do with what we've seen so far. It's hard to believe that there are chromatic aberration. We know what we have hundreds of examples of what a chromatic aberration looks like. It doesn't get close to that. It's not. It's not. That's not it. So he caught something. I don't know at a certain time, and he's been. He went in Nevada not too long ago, and he also got some interesting pictures that also show that the stars are not like a round, blurred spot of light, but there is some kind of a structure. There is some kind of there are angles and everything. So that's one thing. What he showed us. That's one thing that can be discussable. That can be like debatable. I have no problem. But then when you investigate, you realize that actually, with all the big telescopes that we have in the world, those big extra large telescopes and all that, there's no pictures of closed stars. I had to go to like hundreds and hundreds of videos from the NASA and all kinds of official sites to get one picture of Sirius. So I don't understand why they don't take pictures of or they don't use their telescopes to look also on the closest stars. They can also go look farther away if they want, no problem. But why not use them on closed stars in order to see if we can get more details? And all you got is like big blurred lights or bigger blurred spotlight. That's all we have. So that's what's a little bit suspicious for us. Flat earthers, we're getting used to like suspect everything.
Okay.
But yes, go ahead.
About the stars. For stars, let's take Sirius for example. Sirius is around 8 light years away. In the sky, we describe sizes as angular with angular sizes. Let's about Jupiter, for example. Jupiter is around 51 arc seconds in the sky. Looking at Sirius, for example, Sirius will be 0.00001 arc second. It's a very, very small size to resolve with the telescope. For telescopes, you have the diameter of the telescope. It's all what determines its resolution.
I,
For telescopes, we have the big telescopes with the meters of diameter. They can resolve fine details indeed, but you can zoom on stars and see structure. There are a few telescopes designed for stars. The diameter of the mirror or the lens, mostly mirror. The mirror, you have the diameter pretty large. It is pretty large. And you also have, they can capture it sometimes in visible light as well. Usually use the radio wave or microwave and different wavelengths of light, specific wavelengths that can show structure. There
yeah.
is, I believe, there is a picture of, I think, Betelgeuse, huge and bright star in the night sky at Orion's constellation.
Yeah,
There is, yes, go ahead.
well, just I understand that there is like there are rules in all that technology, and that we have like microwave. We use like now microwave. We use all kinds of technologies. Waves, radio. There are also radio telescopes. All that is beautiful, but what is it worth if we cannot have a picture of like the closest stars? You have cannot have like a good picture. You understand? This is for me what's absurd a little bit. That's what's you know makes me laugh, because why spend like billions and billions of dollars if you can get put out one good picture? Then you're going to explain, oh, we cannot have a picture because of this and that. Okay, so why do you spend so much money in those telescopes if you just bring us the same pictures than small telescopes do? Or that's the thing, because these people like NASA and everything, they're experts in like dumbing you down a little bit, explaining you things, like in very complex technical, gibberish, and but at the end, the result is has to be shown. So if you show me pictures of stars that are like that, you guys say like billions of years ago away, billions of light years away. First of all, it's very hard to prove, even with mathematics. But anyways, just no problem. But just start by showing me what's close. Like if you cannot show me, show me what's at like 100 meters, but only what's at like 1,000 meters, 100,000 kilometers. I don't care. I just want to know what's in front of me for now. You understand? And they cannot do it. So
Right.
that's the thing that with all the explanation they can give us doesn't make sense. We it doesn't make too much sense that they cannot get like clear picture or better pictures than what they have of again of close stars. So that's why
All
we
right.
we should go
I
ahead. Go ahead.
understand.
The-
Let's take an example about microscopes. They work about the same as telescopes, except the opposite. But
yeah.
for microscopes, optical microscopes that use light, they have a limit of magnification. Around, for example, you mostly can see a virus with optical
Yeah.
microscopes. A
Yes.
virus. That's when they have a limit. They do have a limit. All optical devices always have a limit.
Yes. Yes. Of course.
For let's say atoms, for example. They had to invent the electronic microscope, which uses electrons instead of photons. Photons of light always have a limit on how much resolution and how much information that they can provide to the one observing them.
I agree. Of
So,
course.
pointing telescope at star usually won't show you anything. For example, you can find online the image of the center black hole of the Milky Way. You have the right to ask how did they manage to take that, but can't take the image of the star. You have the right to ask that, and that's where comes the concept of using different wavelengths for the center
No.
black hole of the Milky Way. They
No.
they did not use visible light. They used excuse me, radio waves. Yes. They
Can.
use radio waves with and the benefit of a radio wave is that you can build far apart radio receivers and use them as a single one. So you basically have a telescope the diameter of the whole Earth. If you let's say position one in the Chile mountains, one in North America, and one in Middle East, Asia, for example, you would have basically a telescope the diameter of the Earth, and that's what they needed to take an image of the black hole. You basically can't do that with optical telescopes, which cannot get close to capturing the detail on stars.
Yes.
Maybe you can take, let's say, Alpha Centauri is 4 light years away from us. It's relatively the closest star to us. You can, I think there is images of it out there, but you can't honestly see that much detail on it. Always there is a limit to optical systems. Always have a limit of resolution. You might ask why nebulae, for example, why there are clear images of nebulae but not stars. For that, nebulae, excuse me, nebulae are huge spanning hundreds of light years according to their calculations. I can't let's forget about NASA and all these space agencies. Let's talk from personal observations. For myself, I started the hobby of astrophotography as just a hobby. I was curious to see what's above. I saw that nebulae, for example, do appear as 3D structures. They feel that they do have a depth to them. The Orion Nebula, for example, it appears as tulip flower. I like to describe it like that. It appears to have a depth to it. Many other nebulae. There is a moon tonight, but if it were clear, the Milky Way would be rising about now. You can see from I live in the countryside. It's pretty dark here. I can see the dark, somewhat appears as dark in the Milky Way, and there is you can see a structure. You can see that it spans into the distance, not just projected on one single plane. Also,
Go ahead, go ahead.
go ahead. That's it. They do have a structure, not just plain projection. You may ask why they appear as one plane. Well, again, mostly because of how telescopes work. The further away, the more the focus plane. The focus plane is what, for example, you have a 300 meters nearby, and you have a 50 meters midway between you and that other tree. If you point your telescope to the tree, the 100-meter tree, and focus on it, the middle tree will appear blurred. If you have a mountain, for example, 1 kilometer away, and a house 500 meters close by, it will the house and the mountain will appear almost both sharp, and that applies to stars far away. Then
And no problem. But in that case, if I want to take a picture of a close tree, I will take a smaller telescope if I cannot see it with a big one. You understand? So we always have like a smaller devices. The thing is that when we're talking about like 4 light years, for serious, for according to the numbers. Uh, I think they should be able to give us more information at that point, even with like lesser telescopes than the Hubble or whatever telescopes they say they have in space. So that's the point. With what I judge, technology with results, not with means. That means that if there is so much technology put into this, but if at the end all you see is like the same stars that they don't go tell you, okay, this star instead of being like a 20 million light years away, it's like now 20 billion light years away. Okay, now you're going to see the same star. They're going to tell you, oh, now it's 200 billion light years away. So, what progress is that? Like, if we cannot see, the star itself. I'm not talking about the moon. The moon is easy, to film because you have the light right, coming out of it or coming from, close. I don't know. But the thing is that, stars, we have check it out how many pictures of stars and clusters and nebulae we have, and you know that most of the pictures of deep space that you see, and I say most, I don't want to say all, it comes from artistic drawings or CGI computer generated imaging, and NASA admits it that what they tell you is that because they received that through microwave technology or through like whatever radio telescopes, so they have to translate that. We wouldn't be able to solve codes and everything, so they translate that in they make us look at what they tell us that they received from that far. But at that point, it's so easy to just make drawings, and just make you believe whatever they want. So that's what I'm saying. It's like there's it doesn't make too much sense for me, a simple person that knows how to think. We're not experts in all this, but we're experts in thinking. We businessmen, military people, we know things. But when we see that it doesn't hold. Also, the fact that no observatory in the world take pictures of like close stars. We don't see that. go try to take a look at on internet and try to find a picture of like Sirius, from observatories. They're extremely rare, and there are like hundreds and hundreds of observatories. So that doesn't make sense for me. That you can explore the sky far away, no problem. I have no problem with this. But why don't show us this type of pictures? Now, I just want to ask you a question. You've been in photography for a long time already, or how long?
Around now about 2 years.
3 years. Okay, that's also a long time. Have you ever seen those pictures that I showed you? Those stars, type of stars like this. You never saw
Yes,
that. I didn't see that. Nobody ever saw that. You
the
understand?
about stars themselves. Yes,
Yep. So that's the thing. That's the point. Is that okay? Either you can believe it's like an anomaly, technological anomaly, and that's no problem. Then you have to prove it, and how to prove it, because you don't have the phone. You can prove it by showing us other examples that are close to that. For example, if you say that it's a chromatic aberration, then you can have to show us like a chromatic aberration that can look like this, or we can try to reproduce the same thing. Take binoculars with a cell phone, look at Sirius, and see if we get the same thing, or something that looks like it. But actually we cannot. We already did investigate that matter. When that guy came up in our community and showed us those pictures, we checked them out. We made sure that it was not also from chromatic aberrations, which I believe the first time I saw that, I said, well, that's not. I thought it was a night bug in the beginning. I didn't think it was a star. So, but after investigation, after like checking things out, we know that these pictures are like genuine. The guy is genuine. The guy is true, and that's a problem that puts the entire astronomical community at check. Like at like they got a problem. They're trying to ignore it, to insult us. They say, oh yeah, you don't know nothing. We don't know everything. But they're being they're losing credibility because people are looking, and people are not stupid, and they're looking how people react. So they have to come up with better than this. So the thing is that that's why we I decided to interview you, because you were among one of the rarest astronomers that made sense, that was that acted correctly and everything. So I have no problem to to interview you. So what you're saying is that those pictures, what you believe is that they are chromatic aberrations. This is your position.
can you open the image again?
Okay, wait a second. Okay, this is a stock.
Alright. For this one, you can see there is a chromatic aberration. The red and blue is definitely a chromatic aberration. But for about that structure on the
Where do you see chromatic aberration? You see with the light. Yeah, of course. On the sides, you can see the red light is like blurred. The even the blue light is blurred. But what about the shape? The main shape. That okay, the colors
yes,
around it, I have no problem. But the shape.
I was going to talk about the rings on the left and the right, that structure. That discovered recently. I was fixing my I have a smaller telescope. I was fixing it and had almost the same structure. I asked the friend who makes the telescopes. He lives in the USA. He grinds his own lenses. He said that these are diffraction rings. The diffraction rings are happen mostly because of the depend on the diameter of the observation tool. The binocular, for example, is around let's say around 5 centimeters, 50 millimeters at most.
Okay.
It will have some large diffraction rings. Diffraction rings, I don't honestly have a picture, but I saw them in the IPs
You
multiple
call that
times.
you call that diffraction rings. That's what you call it.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
It's
so that's something. If it has a name, that it means it's something that is known. That's something that you already know about it. It's not something
yes,
new.
it's known the astronomical community, especially for the ones like myself using
Okay.
small equipment. It does tend to have these rings.
Okay.
And
And
about the yes, yes. Go
no,
ahead.
no, just if it's known, and if something there is a name for that already, is it possible to have like pictures of such aberrations, such Do you have like examples in the astronomical community of pictures that look close to that and that look like that and that are known and referenced as
Yes, you
aberrations,
can.
or no?
Yes, it's very well known. It's mostly it mostly happens. Most people reject images with such things. They are just type of aberration at the end of the line.
No problem. So what you are saying, it's an aberration and it's a known thing. No problem. What we are saying is not an aberration and it's an unknown thing, because there is no pictures like this on the net, never pictured, never published. So now what I'm asking you is that maybe to help us, maybe we didn't see anything in our investigations. Maybe you can show us pictures of those known, aberrations, that look like this, because this is what we want to see. If show me pictures like this,
Yes,
of other stars that are like this and that are, proven as an aberration. That's what we want to know. This is what
all right.
interests us. Yes, go ahead.
The second thing about these in the binocular image, the ones you can find online will be complete rings, complete circles. For this one, it was inverted, kind of inverted. It's hard to find an image like this because it happens with eyepiece to phone lens misalignment. I think I have an image like that.
Okay,
I'll,
so what you call ring is not like the middle part. You're talking about like entire round circles. This is what you call the ring
it will apply the entire picture.
diffraction. Yeah.
Yes, this for this image of Capella, there are two aberrations happening at the same time. Three if you count chromatic aberration. That's what resulted in this unique structure in the star. The unique structure here, you can see that single ring. For this one too, you can see the same structure in the star. The
Exactly,
star,
exactly. And you think these are ring diffractions. This is what you're saying.
the
And
diffraction ring, and it's a distorted diffraction ring, not the usual diffraction ring you will find online. Because this ring here, you can see there it kind of converges to both sides because of eyepiece to phone lens misalignment, which makes them makes it kind of compressed on the side, just like the image here. I have an image of this eyepiece to phone lens misalignment, which makes rectangular stars like this. And with this rectangular shape, it also causes the rings to become inverted, like you are looking in the image.
even though you're right that there are chromatic aberrations, there's all kinds of aberrations with telescopes. There's no problem. But that is an aberration. It's like if I show you like a telescope, the Hubble telescope in space, I can tell you this is an aberration too, because actually we know that they are not in space, but that's another subject. But you see, it's like if I was saying to you, the picture of the ISS in the sky is an aberration. You cannot accept that, because I can tell you that this is very hard to accept. But anyways, we're gonna keep on checking, these things. But at that point, it's hard to accept. It can be any kind of aberration. But the colors around it, around that shape, I have no problem. It can be like aberrations, of course. But about the shape, chromatic aberrations of what you call those diffraction circles, or rings. I don't think it can give you like such precision into shapes of objects. It can blur something out, but it cannot just like give you like uh, precision, precise objects like that we never saw before. So that's what seems a little bit hard to accept. But hey, I'm open minded. I'm going to double check, triple check that. I'm going to see what those string diffractions are, and we're going to check it out. We're going to check it out. You have examples of those ring diffractions. Also, if you have, you can show us. It would be good. By the way, those are nice pictures of the moon you took with your phone and the ATX and 1090 there I saw on the internet. It was a long time, a while ago, but it's nice pictures. Go ahead, yeah, show me.
This image here, it's the Lagoon Nebula. I took it when I was just starting out. You can see the quality is pretty terrible here. For
Yes.
for the create such shapes, but they can happen only with aberrations, as you can see here. The star
So
appears as a triangular shape. I have another example. About this one, you can see the structure you are talking about.
yes,
It's not circle, as you can see. It's
yes, yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. What I believe is that what you took here is, of course, it's blurred. There is a chromatic aberration about the light, but however, maybe in that picture you have a part of the truth. That means of the fact that the star is not like a round circle of light. Maybe there's
yes,
something else. Okay, it's blurred. There's no problem. There's an aberration. That's clear. But it's not all false. Like, you understand? Maybe you can see that stars. Maybe they're not like all around, even though it's not perfect. The picture is like it's still blurred and everything.
I
That's what
understand
I'm
your
trying
point.
to tell you, because the pictures that you can have like without chromatic aberrations from whatever observatories, NASA and everything, they're going to shoot just like a round circle. Oh, that's round.
Yes,
That's okay. That's okay. That's not. There's no aberration here. So that's what I'm saying. Where is the limit between the aberration and what exactly is an aberration? If it's just the light that changes or the light that like distorted, I have no problem. But can the light be distorted with angles?
yes, the light definitely. It can be changed in so many ways. Let's
Okay.
take laser for example. Lasers can be manipulated. You can put lenses on in front of laser. I think you can see it in many patterns. It can separate the laser in many different shapes. You can see
Mhm.
it makes triangles, it makes squares, it makes here in this image right here. I took it also about 3 months into the hobby. You can see the star I chose because it's kind of bright. It has a pretty specific shape to it. You can see this one too, or this one. They have some very distinct shapes. But if you look closely, you can see
So
here.
so
Here,
the big question is, are those shapes created only by the chromatic aberration, or is just there is a distortion of something that's actually at the origin it's shaped like this? That means that if you didn't have any chromatic aberration, if you had like a perfect picture of it, you will see that the star is not round. It's maybe like
that's where
octagonal
I'm
or
going.
whatever. That's what I'm
That's
saying.
yes, and that's the point I'm going to. This is aberrations from the optics themselves. You probably won't find images like this online. At least not
Okay.
they are not common. The
Okay.
aberrations, you can see the triangular shapes. You can see here kind of square shape in here. You can see, but going to the middle, you can see the fuzzy light spots we are used to. So you can't really judge by a single image. This image here, it
Those are
was
more like pixels. I think it just looks like more like pixels. But you see that the difference of that big star that is brighter is like it's not exactly square. There's like it's a different shape.
not
The-
yes,
But
and now yes, yeah, that's the point I'm going to. Now for this star, you can see the triangle, the opening side of the triangle, pointing outward. Now look at
yes,
this one. In this one in the corner here. This one here, you can see the triangle at the opposite side, pointing to the opposite side of the other one. Both
well,
are pointing at you.
the,
Now
the,
coming here. All of them are pointing outwards, which is described by spherical aberration. This is also a very
mhm.
important aspect about optics.
So you can see that this picture here that are much much better quality. Now you can see that there is like some kind of a frequency, that there is something that's moving up and down, or in the two directions. So when you took that picture, you took it in a certain position, but check it out. It's very hard to believe this is it cannot be an aberration. It's too precise. It's too
Now,
precise. You can see the light that reflects on the tail there, the light up there. So So this is hard to. This is the point. Is it a chromatic aberration or or something else? The pictures that you took, what I believe, are genuine pictures of stars, and I believe that of course there are chromatic aberration, but it's not all you see. There's a part of
Yes,
it is chromatic aberration because of course you can see the light is like being distorted. So the distortion of light is what I believe, if I believe I understood correctly, is what makes the chromatic aberration. Now, the shape, I don't know if chromatic aberration can create shapes. So maybe let's push it. Let's say that in your picture it did create those shapes, but the shapes I showed you, there's no way. Come on. There's no way a chromatic aberration can do that. And the fact is that there are no pictures. There are no pictures on the net. There are no pictures in astronomy. It's something we showed in to astronomers. They've never seen that in their lives. So it's not even close to what you can what is known as chromatic aberration, or maybe like ring diffractions or whatever you want to call it. That's the point. That's the whole argument, the whole dispute that we have. But hey,
uh,
I'm open to any possibility. I'm going to keep on checking. And if you can find whatever samples or examples of aberrations, of proven aberrations that look like what those pictures look like, or something even close to that, I'm I'm a buyer. I have no problem to just like check them out. And the thing is going to be very hard, I believe, for you to find them, because I we think they are known. Not yet. There will be more. We
the
are receiving like a bigger equipment now to take new pictures of those stars. See what happens. See what happens. But
uh,
the stakes are big, because if it appears not to be like chromatic aberrations, but actually real shapes of stars taken from an angle, a different angle, maybe whatever, that's no problem. But it's gonna be a problem, for the astronomical community to just like explain how come they didn't come up with those kinds of pictures. And in the observatories that are all over the place, like in universities all over the world, it's very hard to get into those observatories. So sometimes they can have groups of tourists come in and take pictures of the telescope and everything, but they won't let you look into it. It's like a kind of secret brotherhood all over the world. Like it's like, whoa, you cannot get into that circle. Just tell me something before we go, because I know it's late for you also. Check it out. What about flat Earth? Do you have like flat Earth groups or flat Earth people? Crazy people that believe that the Earth is flat in Tunisia also, or you don't have this?
not
Have
I
you?
know about. I don't think
No,
so.
okay. And but you are you Muslim of religion, or are you Christian? What
I'm a
I
Muslim.
Muslim. And what do you know about the Quran? What the Quran says about the earth, or you never checked, or you never got involved in that?
About the Quran, there is a verse that mentions the shape of the earth being a sphere. There is also one that that gets misinterpreted. In the full context, it talks about how God made the earth a place for humans to live, made it suitable for life, for different life, not only humans. There is a verse that talks about making the earth a smooth place for humans. Looking at the moon, for example, you have huge valleys, huge differences in the geographic structure of the moon. For Earth, we don't have that much variation. The difference between the highest point on Earth and the deepest point on Earth is less than 20 kilometers. So Earth is a smooth place, which people, Muslims, take that verse and use it to justify that the Earth is flat. They misinterpreted the actual meaning of the verse. That's from a religious perspective. From
Yes,
from
because
observation, for example.
I heard that also. I live in Israel. I know also a lot of Arab friends that confirm it by the Quran, that the Quran also, just like the Torah, the Jewish Torah, they also say that the Earth is flat. Even the word globe don't exist in the Torah. Never, it's not mentioned. But that's just to throw some some spice into the discussion.
Here, this is a M78 nebula near the Andromeda constellation. You can see after fixing the lens, you can see the regular stars you are used to seeing online. You can see some pretty clean circles. I still have some chromatic aberration appearing as a blue halo around the star. There is also still some fuzziness, but this after this fixing the lens, so the lens has had some problems, and then
Yeah.
also I gained some experience with aligning the
Hey,
telescope and the phone.
can
After
can
yeah,
yeah, I
so
get you. I agree with you 100%. That's a chromatic aberration. You can see that it's flew to like blur and everything. But do you have a picture of a star that has no chromatic aberration? Like, can you see also the difference? Like, do you have pictures of stars like that are like taken clearly without
uh,
aberrations?
uh, without completely without aberrations.
Yeah,
Uh,
with very small aberration, very little, like so we can see
I
the
I
difference.
think I do have. Just a second. Here I have a star cluster called M76. It still has a little bit of chromatic aberration. You can see here as the blue, but in the dead center, in the middle, which where the least aberration happens, you can see the regular circle stars, the fuzzy light spots as you refer them to.
So you're saying on the
Uh,
on the left side over there where it's blue, it's a chromatic
yes,
aberration, but in the middle, it's not a chromatic aberration. It's because there's no like blue light. The light is not being
yes.
distorted. That's what you're saying.
Yes, the light that passes by the middle of the lens is the least distorted always. You can see here, if you can look closely, you can see the red is here to the side, the blue to the side,
Yeah,
coming here to the middle.
yeah.
The bright stars will always have that blue halo, but the less bright ones, they will have that always that same regular star shape,
But,
the one you are used to seeing in the
yeah.
another thing about the size, you may say that they are a bit too inflated or a bit too big. That's because of the diameter of the telescope. The 70 millimeters. My telescope is only 70 millimeters in aperture. This
Okay.
aperture is quite a bit limited. So, and the smaller the aperture, always the bigger the size. I have another one. I don't remember which one exactly, but it had
Because
this one.
between you and
It
I, they
had
look the
some
same for me.
shaken
Yeah.
stars.
Okay. Those are pixels. We see that it's like pixels. It's like the
The other one,
bad resolution picture. That's it's not. Go ahead.
this one here.
This is like looks like it's
For the pixels, there is no escaping them. It's built of pixels. The image itself is just an amount of pixels that. Yeah,
so that's what I'm saying. All
the
telescopes.
pixels
We're
are
gonna
what are showing you the data. Also, another thing about pixels. Here, file info here. You can see the resolution is 900.
so far the best pictures with the best resolution we've seen is those pictures that I showed you from Mikey Smith.
You
It's
can
like
see the
it's
photo
one of the it's the most precise pictures. You know,
Can you hear
so
me?
that's why we're saying we have to at one point we have to to realize and follow common sense. This is Vlad. This is my friend Vlad. Is from also from our Platters community here. Is in
How
Virginia.
you doing?
I'm in Israel, but
Nice to
we
meet
also worked on those pictures of with Michael pictures of Mikey Smith. Mikey Smith, sorry. So
you.
he
Yeah.
knows all about those pictures. We checked them out. In the beginning, we also thought maybe it was like some kind of an aberration, chromatic, whatever aberration. But we checked it, and it doesn't. There's no aberrations that can give you like precise shapes of an object. They can just like make show you like blurred lights or colors, like they can just like, but shapes like that don't exist yet on the internet, not yet. But
Mm.
so
Yeah,
that
yeah.
go ahead, just finish your point. You were making a point before, you
So
go ahead.
I was talking about. I didn't realize that the video was cut. I'll open the screen projection for a second.
Okay, wait.
Uh,
I don't see it. I don't see it yet.
yes, yes, I open now. You can see here the stars here. Let's take this star for example. It
Right.
does have kind of a unique shape. Not as much as the binocular image you took earlier. You showed me earlier. But it does have kind of a unique shape. It does have a kind of horns to the side and
Sure.
point of light here. Now focus on this structure of star here. This same structure I will open on the another newer image, a bit lower, but a newer image of here. Let's take here. This is the same here, same nebula, the same structure of stars in here. This is
Right.
the same star that had the aberrations earlier, the that point of light to the side and kind of horns to the side. You
Right.
can see here that it's much cleaner in here, like that you refer to them as the fuzzy stars, just like this. So it's a matter of alignment of the capture device you are using. It's really hard to align your phone to an eyepiece of any kind, either
Well,
binocular or telescope.
but you
But
can.
yeah,
Excuse me, but you cannot compare that picture that you showed us, which has a, apparently, of course, some kind of an aberration, chromatic aberration, because you see the light is being distorted a little bit. I have no problem with the picture I
mhm,
showed you, because the picture I showed you, even though you can talk about the light that is being distorted around the object, I have no problem about this.
And
But
we have pictures like that. That's
yeah,
right.
and the shape, the precise shape, the arch, and then an arch, another
Yeah.
arch, and you see the light, the frequency going on. That's very that has nothing to do with the chromatic aberration. There might be some chromatic aberrations around that object, but the object
Right.
himself
mm,
cannot be created by an aberration.
Mhm.
Aberrations do not create mirage. They don't create like a building suddenly it's going to appear and
Yeah.
it cannot. So everything which is aberration, I agree with you. Can talk about distortions of light, of the colors of light, and I agree with you. There's no problem about this. But what about the shape?
Yeah.
The shape
It's
is not.
distinct. It's a and you've got
I can.
shapes within the shape as well. There we go. Yes. That
let
is,
me,
You
yeah,
understand? That has nothing to do. That has nothing to do.
and this is
We
live
have to be
footage.
honest with each other. That has nothing to do with this. So if
Right.
you want to talk about aberrations, about the light around the star, I have no problem. But about the shape,
yeah.
kidding me? It's
This
too
is live
precise. It's too
footage.
precise, man. It's too precise. It's not. It cannot be an aberration. Can
And
If you can pause the video for a second,
Yes. Wait a second.
uh,
Wait. Okay.
where
Yeah.
the star was stable, can you a bit away from the laser
Away
to
from
have
the
the
laser.
star by itself?
Okay. Wait a
Mm,
second. I do it. 1 second.
yeah.
There
thank
you go.
you. Okay. About this image here, it does have a unique shape indeed. It does have quite a rather unique shape. But I'd say from my experience with astronomy, I seen so many aberrations with, especially my equipment is a bit quite limited, quite cheap optics, not anything professional. What I see here, from what I know, to the top right of the image, there is blue, violet, kind of pinkish hue
Right.
to the star. That is definitely a chromatic aberration. Any telescope, any magnification, the binocular can be considered as a telescope itself. It's just a small telescope after all. It does have a chromatic aberration, as every optical system that uses a glass element to refract light does
Right.
suffer from chromatic aberration. And also, depending on how high the star itself was in the atmosphere, as Mike took it, as he took the image, the lower the star or any thing that in the sky, the lower it is, the more distorted the light will be.
Right.
So the colors are, we can conclude for sure that they are chromatic aberration. For the shape now, about the rectangular shape. I have an image. I found it in my gallery earlier, having almost the same shape of the rectangular shape, no, without the rings. The rings only happen with small apertures, smaller than 40 millimeters, like I assume the binocular. The binocular had quite a small aperture to it.
Okay,
The smaller the aperture.
I'm gonna share your screen. Wait a second.
Okay,
I'm gonna remove mine and share yours. Go
okay.
ahead.
I'll open the gallery just to see. Here, this image here. I took this one a couple of months ago. Zooming on this star here, it does quite have quite a close shape to your star. That unique rectangular kind of rectangular shape.
Yes.
It does also have a chromatic aberration to both sides here, up and down.
Okay, so that's my question. So you took
Mhm.
a picture of many stars, and you have one
Yeah.
star with the chromatic aberrations, but all the other stars that don't have no chromatic aberrations. So
Now
that's like,
here, yeah, yeah, you've got the point. Yes,
Which star is
correct.
this? Do you know which star this is?
This not the exact star, but this nebula is the near inside the Orion constellation. I believe either M78 or M72. Not really. Oh, here it's
What was the
M78. Yes,
date? What was the date that
around
you took these?
file info here. I took it on December 22nd.
December 22nd, 2024. Let me see.
Uh, M78, the nebula.
so that's the problem. If the optics is responsible of chromatic aberrations, it should be responsible in everything
Not
it sees,
yes,
not in only like select one image, one star, and that star has a
yes,
chromatic
yes.
aberration, and the other ones don't have the chromatic aberration. I don't
Yes,
know.
and here
I'm
comes another. There is another aspect. You can see it kind of happens to most here also. It has a close shape to that rectangular, not exactly the same, but
so
close shape.
that's the whole
But
discussion.
Yes.
Is the chromatic aberration about the color being distorted, or about the shape being changed, like or being like
Chromatic, chromatic
right.
aberration only about color. It only affects the color of the star or
Right.
whatever object. It happens to the moon. It happens to any celestial object you look at through a telescope.
Okay.
The chromatic aberration is only the color, not the shape. The shape comes in. There is alignment, which can result in so many aberrations. There is coma. Coma appears as kind of like comet, like a dot in here and a circle around it. There is
okay.
also
These are
you
halos. Some of those
yes, hello.
some of the effects that you have, they're still blurred and they're still haloed. That has
Yes,
definite shape. Like this,
Yes.
you can kind of come to something. Plus, his is distinct. On the bottom, you have green. On the top, you have
uh,
purple or like an indigo color, right? And in the
yes,
middle, you have that white, that blinding white light. So these
yes,
are so you could see the rectangle in the middle, and you could see the two
uh,
cones at the top in opposition with one another, right? Both of them
yes,
facing opposite of each other. So now you combine those, you have a diamond shape, right?
yes,
And then if you
true.
split them into their three distinct shapes, you've got a triangle on the top, you've got a triangle on the bottom, and you've got what appears to be like a rectangle in the middle. Now,
Yes.
Sam, I don't know if you've ever shown him the unicursal star.
But Mohammed, just to come back to like basic
Yes.
common sense and logic without getting into
Mhm.
complex technology. The pictures that I showed you from Mikey Smith.
Yes.
Have you ever seen pictures like this, exactly like this? Not
Right.
looking like this, but exactly like this. Have you ever seen these kinds of pictures?
I online, no, not online, but I did see some on my phone preview. I usually reject images like that. Most
No.
90% of the time, 90% of the time they happen because of misalignment.
Okay.
For my case, they
No
happen
problem.
from misalignment of the phone with the IP, and not because of. And
Okay.
also the optics themselves can cause online. I don't find them online.
But
Most probably. Yeah, you can, for example, let's take an example from real life. You are taking a selfie from yourself, and you find it blurry and a phone shaked, for example. Yeah, you will automatically delete that image. You won't
So
keep.
the
Yeah,
thing is that even though if you found these exact pictures and you threw them away because it wasn't interesting for you, we just
mm-hmm.
can't like, I don't say the entire internet, but big parts of internet in like different languages, and we never could find something that even it's even close to this. So if you
Yeah,
can take that picture and categorize it into something that is known as some kind of an aberration, well,
yeah,
there should be like other pictures being taken, or we should be able to take new pictures, of those stars with these aberrations to compare
yeah,
them. That's the thing that again don't make sense to me, in the astronomical community, because actually they see something they've never seen before and they try to categorize it into something that is known, but they cannot prove it, and
Yeah,
so
that's
it's like a little bit like,
yeah,
okay, we open-minded, we ready to hear you guys, but at one point,
yeah,
that's it has to make some sense, because
right.
then it becomes close to the absurd, and that's too bad, because you guys are like good guys, and I'm sure you're just making like good work, taking good pictures and everything, but
Right.
it has,
yeah,
at one point you have to make some sense, man, and that's the thing, is that
Yeah.
no, I believe you that if you found those pictures, you threw them in the garbage. Okay, try to
Yeah.
make others, try to make more. Just let us know, because we're working also hard to find
Right.
out the truth. So we don't
yeah.
want to, just spend too much of our time also if those things are like
Spinning
just
our
aberrations.
wheels. That's right. So another thing,
Yeah.
to kind of add on to that, also, Mohammed and Sam, is that Mikey's footage is also live. It's not like he just took still pictures. So in that video, you could see that it's not like his hand is shaking or he's shaking a
Yes,
tripod. You could see that
yes,
the sky is moving. You understand?
yes,
The sky is
yes.
also moving, and he's
It
up
does move
close and
indeed.
personal. And that star is doing whatever it is it's doing. We have no idea. We can speculate all day, but we have no idea. But what we do know is that those are defined shapes. Now, what you had appears to be some kind of defined shape, and that appears to be some sort of aberration. We can agree, because even though it appears to have a defined shape, we're not sure, right? And so you have all kinds of
Mm,
stuff going on, and it's hazy and it's smudged out. But that is, not only is it defined, you could see the triangle, plus when you zoom in, you could see more of, it's like a circles within a circle that just tapers down and gets smaller and smaller.
yeah,
That's how defined it is. You understand?
yes,
So
yes, true.
we
Mm-hmm.
haven't seen anything like it. And Sam, I went ahead and I put that in there just so he could take a look.
About for Mike, if you can contact him for example, now, ask him to try again. Try take the same star, but this time he needs to make sure that the phone is aligned to take that out of the equation. To do that, I did that a lot. Almost every time we set that the telescope, I use this method. I open my phone screen, open blank, zoom in on a bright thing in my gallery, for example, to make the screen a blank white kind of light source. You put it in front of the optical element, in front of the binocular in his case. Make the circle that will appear. It will appear a circle of a white circle in the phone's live view.
Right.
That white circle, he will need to move to adjust that his phone adapter, his phone holder, so that that circle will appear as uniform as possible. That way, you assure yourself that you had some good alignment that you can work with. If
Hmm.
he did that and did get same diamond shape, that would be interesting. It's alright. It's a good thing to question my things. It's alright to learn yourself. I learned most of that myself. I just want to learn. I don't really for money, for example. I if I you wanted to use a reference, mostly only to know where the thing I want to look at is located. No, not more than that.
Hmm.
Uh, back to Mikey about the binocular.
Right.
He can try take. He will need to start tracker to take a longer exposure just to reveal more stars behind it. But the live view will be enough if he aligns the binocular properly. If he can
Mm.
do it even now, it's I think it's too late for him, and we don't want to disturb him. But if he can do a second try, you can contact him. Tell
Hmm.
him
Yes,
about this method. You use light source, not a bright one. Bright light source will make it much harder to do. He can kind of align his phone with the eyepiece using another phone in front of the lens. Also, the distance from the eyepiece, not only the X and Y direction. If he can
I
get it
got
right,
you.
he can make sure that the misalignment is taken out of the equation. For
Hmm.
the image of the star, Capella, for example, that you showed me earlier, that's most likely what you will see if you fixed your eye, you fixed it, which is almost impossible. Your head moves with a few millimeters left and right. You can't keep it fixed in one place.
Right.
If you can look at the same angle that the phone was positioned at, you can see that same shape indeed. But if you align the phone properly with the eyepiece, I
Right.
believe if he looked through the binocular eyepiece before putting the phone on, he would most likely 100%, 99%, no, not 100. You will see that regular dot of light that you are used to seeing online. Most people publish.
you,
Go ahead.
no. Just to tell you, you know what? The best thing we can do, for now, is
Mhm.
you still the points we don't agree on. Maybe we should make it
Mhm.
like another podcast, another meeting where you take time to research and give us like some pictures, some examples of things that are aberrations that look close to
Yeah.
whatever Mikey's is been doing. So so we
Um,
can compare or you can bring also other people with you, like people that are like also astrophotographers and astronomers, so we can compare those things, because so far we have nothing to compare these images with, and this is something that's the main point. That's It cannot be classified as any kind of aberration or anything else.
mm,
So
yeah.
that's the point. That's the point, and nothing gets close to it. Even though there are aberrations around, the star, like like the colors and everything are distorted. I have no problem. The shape itself, cannot be
Yeah.
created by your cell phone or by your binoculars. I don't.
The
It doesn't make
the unique
sense.
yeah. The
Yeah.
unique thing about the image of Mikey, one unique thing is that it combined a lot of factors. It combined a lot of things to get such image. First is the alignment. It's the most important thing. I kept talking about it. I mentioned it many times. Alignment is the fundamental thing to taking an image of a star. If you have a few millimeters off, because eyepieces have a range of around for the eyepieces I use, which are quite wide. You have a limit to how big you can see. Hello.
I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. We're
understand.
listening. That's okay.
No problem.
So I saw him
Yeah.
attaching it, and I know exactly what you're talking about. Just being off just ever so slightly, but you could still tell the difference even if you're off, right? You could tell the difference if you're off, and then you would instantly begin to properly adjust it. And then, since the rest of your screen is available to you for viewing, then you could see, all right, it's good, it's good, it's bad, it's bad. And so, like, I got to witness him do that firsthand, and Mikey has been doing this for a long, long time, for a few years now. Oh boy, yeah,
That's okay. That's okay.
yeah.
I'll fix that, man. I'm gonna
Yeah.
put some makeup on. It's gonna be nice.
Yeah, right. So it Mikey's been doing
Well,
it for a while.
so that you see, so the guy that Mohamed Messaoui is the only guy that was respectful and kind of
Right.
made sense, on my comments. So I said, okay, well, we got to take a and discuss together.
Yeah.
And you see that even nice guys like this, that's not it.
They're reaching. Yeah. It's okay. Like they're reaching. They're
Yeah,
reaching
yeah,
for
of course. Yeah, of
anything
course.
that would make those pictures make sense, and that would make that video make sense. So they're gonna call it what they think. They're gonna give it a definition, which we know we can't give it a definition. Really, we
Of
don't know
course.
what it is, except we know that it is what it is, whatever that is. You understand? Um, all we could do is classify it by a shape, but we know what we're seeing is what it is. Like I don't know how else to put it, other than they call it aberration. We're not seeing what we think we're seeing. Like that's nonsense. You understand? And
Well,
I'm not saying that their research is nonsense, but you could you could clearly see these things in however which way, whatever reason, right, that they're coming through the way they are, right? And his camera is properly aligned. And I'm glad that he got that footage live. You understand? So now you could see from a different perspective. It's not just a still picture and making some claims. No, you see it raw footage. You see this thing moving because the sky is moving. You understand? So everybody's going to give it a name based off of what they think they know, but nobody knows. No, we don't know what it is, but we do know
mm,
that what we're seeing is what we are seeing. What it is, we can't give it a name. Well,
not
now
yet,
people,
not yet,
yeah,
but we will.
not yet, at least, right? Not yet.
If Mike can try again, as I said earlier, can try use the phone in front of the binocular method. It helps make sure if we take the alignment problem out of the equation, we can start making building our hypothesis. You can't make sure. For me, for example, I use the telescope. I do get it misaligned so many times. Even though I've been doing this for around 2 years, yet I do get it wrong so many times. And you only realize after looking very closely at the image. I can tell from the phone preview. Taking a video is even harder, as he did a good job actually with taking that video. It's hard to make a video of stars with a binocular. If you use the telescope, it's a bit easier, as you have more magnification, and it's usually cleaner. As in the view, if again, I highly recommend that Mike tries again with aligning the phone with the screen in front of the objective of the binocular method to make sure, just to be sure. For the
Okay.
image, for the diamond shape, I want to talk about it. For having that shape, I showed Sam earlier an image of a rectangular star, almost
Right,
that diamond shape,
right.
almost close, but not as defined, but close to it. Why is it close? Because of first, my phone is not really the best. It's Samsung A15. I used the time, and added to another thing, it's with still images. You have a bit of noise of electrical noise. If I can show you, this not no, not this one. Anyways, I just want to mention that phones have a huge problem with the electrical noise. No
Mm,
matter what phone. Here, for example,
right.
this one I showed
Yeah.
to Sam earlier. This is the
Right.
Lagoon Nebula.
Okay.
This nebula here, you can see a lot of noise. The image I take is the format of the
Yes.
image. It's
Yes.
a raw image. This raw image does not compress, does not have any kind of compression.
Right.
So all the noise, all that random black dots in the background,
Right.
they will appear as they are, which in the camera app in any phone, it has a processing mechanism that will wipe out all that imperfection to give you a cleaner image. iPhones, I believe, do support RAW. You can take a RAW image. It's
So
right. It's that videos are better
so that
for the shoot. Yeah. Go ahead.
Mohammed, check it out. That's my question. You say you have
Mhm.
apps that can wipe out, all the, the whatever anomalies that you can see on the pictures. I have no
Yeah,
problem. But for example, if I take a look, if I take a picture of a house or again a boat or a mountain, I know what it looks like. So
yeah,
I will know exactly how to clean the picture in order for me to have the perfect picture of that thing that I know. Because I've seen mountains, I've seen houses, I've seen boats, I know what it looks like
yeah.
exactly.
Mhm.
So now we're talking about things we didn't see, we never saw. We things about that are very far away. So we're taking pictures, and you say, okay, these things are not good because it's an anomaly. So we were going to wipe that out, and we're going to wipe that out. And so I'm saying, is it possible that what we are looking at are not all the time anomalies, and that what you are wiping out sometimes might be actually like things that we have to that we have to see that exist, that are not just like the
Yeah.
product of our imagination or bad lens or technology, phone technology. So that's what I'm saying, is that how can we make the difference between you know anomalies, technology, phone technology anomalies or whatever, and the real thing? How do we know? Yeah,
Uh,
that's the thing, because
uh,
maybe you can wipe things that are like real, and that's just a question. Again, I'm not an expert in that. I'm just asking you like a question, like a newcomer into that. But how do you know what it should look like? How do you know
what?
what a star like billions of years away should look like?
Not about the star itself, but you have to make sure that your instrument itself of the
Oh,
observation is well
that's for sure.
calibrated. It's well aligned. It's well also with the temperature. If you put your hand on the side of the lens of the telescope, it will actually make the glass of it expand, making it have a slight bit of aberration. They are very sensitive telescopes and binoculars. They are extremely sensitive to outside conditions. To
Yeah,
also
yeah,
to so many things can affect what you are looking at.
yeah. That's
For
it.
cameras themselves. The same phone, the exact same phone that Mike used to take that image of the star. Try that phone. I think you will need an app for it, or if you can take a raw image with an iPhone. Outside,
Uh,
get outside in the daytime, for example. You know, as you said, how will a house look like, how a car would look like, how the world looks like in general. If you can take a raw image which is unprocessed with the phone, and zoom in, you will be amazed by the amount of dead pixels, the amount of random values of pixels. There will be a huge shift in the colors and in the sometimes even shapes in older phones that had some problems with cameras. It will struggle from so many aberrations from
So,
camera
so,
itself.
so, that's
Uh,
exactly our point in our video, that
mm,
we are saying that telescopes are useless, because on one side you have so many aberrations that you can correct and everything, and when you get to the top of the pictures, that without aberration everything is perfect and everything,
mm.
all you get is like blurred spots of light.
Once
So
all that's
I
gone, that's true. Yeah, right.
that's a whole
so that's
different.
the point
Uh,
of observing something. If you cannot have like a precise details of the what you're looking at, it's like like when I did in my last video, when you look at a projector like a floodlight, in the beginning you're gonna see like a big blurred spots of light, but as you zoom in, you're gonna see that
yeah,
there is a structure around, and you're gonna go through the light. But
yeah.
your telescopes
But
don't go through the light. They just like
Right.
absorb light and just like blind us. They
Yeah.
just like
Mo-
just
for,
show
yeah.
you light. They don't do
Mohammed
nothing
just
else.
the Mohammed just the other day I did the lunar eclipse, and I know
yeah,
exactly what you're talking about. Like the the footage that I took was so ugly. I'm almost ashamed to put it online, but I'm gonna put it online anyway to show
it's
everybody I was
alright.
up. Yeah,
We
I'm gonna
always
put it
learn.
online.
And
Uh-huh.
I had some terrible images. Real.
Oh no, no,
We
no,
always
no, no,
learn. We,
no. Muhammad, listen. Mine
yeah.
is so ugly. Like I wanted to cry when I looked at it. I was like, I got the moon, but I got the rest of this ugly footage too. But the thing is like I was like, okay, at least I'm going to show these guys what I got. So then that way they could see like what it is you're talking about, exactly what it is you're talking about. Try as I did, right? I did get the blood moon. I did get the lunar eclipse, but I did get the terrible background with, the camera phone trying to figure out, the darkness of the background, trying to figure out the dark sky, and it couldn't do it. So it made the images that it did. You understand? So
So
people could see
yeah,
those differences and stuff, kind of like what we're talking about. But ugly, boy,
yeah.
I tell you, that was some of the worst footage I ever took in my life.
But have you
Before,
seen the pictures of Mikey? Showing the what's behind the stars. I'm gonna show you quickly. You're gonna see.
here this image itself. What were the conditions of taking it? Was it the same with the other image? Was it a long exposure? Is a short exposure? If you have some info about it.
As far as what he told us, Sam, what he said was he took a video, he did the videos of it, and then I think
Yeah,
he put the videos through a screen, right? And he did a cap cut, and then he basically got the still shots or still
yeah,
frames of the video.
yeah,
And then basically what we're seeing, the final product, what's frozen, is
yeah.
based off of what the video was giving us.
Well,
I don't think,
in this image, yeah. In this
yeah, I
image
don't.
here, it does have the noise I talked about earlier. It was all smoothed out, and it's actually smoothed out some stars with it as well. You can see how some stars are wiped out. A star in the left lower left, there's a star. It's completely wiped out. If we took a raw image, for example, an incomplete image, you could judge the existence of the background you talked about
Hmm.
if he had an uncompressed image, as the phone cameras, as I mentioned earlier, do compress images quite too much sometimes.
Hmm.
And as you see it as well with your moon image,
Right.
phones are not good at all with focusing on faraway stars and the punctual light sources in general.
Right.
As these phones use the mechanism of focus that uses the edge mode. The edge of the thing you are looking at has to be sharp so that
Right.
the phone can see that it's in focus or not. Which
Right.
with having a black background with the stars, for example,
Right. Right.
uh, that black background is used as a reference, and the phone thinks that it's in focus. That's
Right.
what
Right.
made
So
the
so
phone.
check it out, Mohammed. You see that?
Yeah,
Can you see that picture?
just a second. Yeah, I see this one.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is the official picture of NASA from
Uh-huh.
the so-called Hubble telescope. The photo of a Sirius, picture of
Yes.
Sirius
Yeah.
A from NASA. The only one that you can find on the internet, anyways. It's very hard to find another one from NASA. I don't know why. So look, this is now the best of the best you can get from NASA. So you understand the
Uh,
problem? Do you see the problem?
yeah. For
So
this
all
one,
you got now is like a blurred light. That
yeah.
doesn't
This
give me
one,
more information on light. It's just like more light.
yeah. Yeah. This one. One thing the NASA engineers they use is a technique called long exposure stacking.
Yes.
What this does? It brings out light from the behind star. If you can look up in Google the same source you brought this image with, from,
Yeah.
if you can look up single images, single exposure, it will appear as a tiny speck of light in the middle of the image. This static image brings out all that layer, all you can see these lines, this cross shape that from the ports of the mirror of the telescope that refract light and make it appear as that cross. It appears also in Newtonian telescopes, if you can find images online, you can see
Yes.
the same structure. Yeah,
The thing is that I judge the technology according to the results. So
yeah,
if they use, all kinds of technologies or methods or methodology, that give me like a big, blurred spot of light. So I think
yeah,
they should throw that technology in the garbage and try to find something else, because it doesn't,
Yeah.
it doesn't do nothing. It's
Right.
just like, what does it brings us? What does all that
yeah,
technology, all these billions of dollars, bring us? Nothing. Check it out.
yeah,
Absolutely
yeah.
nothing.
This is what common sense has to come in motion. This is when you have to start thinking, because knowing things about methodology and technology is one thing. It's good, it's great, but then when you see the results, you cannot say, okay, we have a bad picture because of this and because. So
Right.
what's the point of all that technology? You understand? So maybe it's not about technology.
Mhm.
Maybe there are other reasons why they just show us that that. For me, it's a stupid picture of a star, like that doesn't teach you nothing, doesn't
Right.
bring you nothing,
For this
it
image,
doesn't
yeah,
do
What's
nothing.
What's also funny is that when you fly in a U-2, well, I haven't flown in a U-2, but U-2 pilots don't see the stars at 70,000, 80,000 feet. So for them to say that the Hubble telescope is capturing A, B, and C, and you can't see anything in the background, or you can't see any stars, like you have to start asking like serious questions. Is there a Hubble telescope actually getting anything? Like you have to be honest with yourself with these questions, because these guys flying in planes that we see take off, and we know that these guys fly, they don't see anything, right? And they actually film themselves flying in these planes, and you don't see anything in the sky. You see nothing in the night sky, right? You don't see
uh,
any stars,
And
none.
the thing is that it is the very spirit of science. The scientific spirit wants you not to take anything for granted. You have always to
yeah,
doubt again, and check and double check and triple check, because science is full of surprises all the time. We
Yes, it
also
is.
all make discoveries because we never thought of it before.
Right.
We never could have believed it, and suddenly we find out something else. So we have to
mhm,
stay open minded, not have like we have to be always open minded. Maybe the Hubble telescope is not just to say, like Vlad said, is not what they say it is. So I'm open to anything, especially with NASA.
uh,
Right.
mhm. About this image here, I'll get back to the plane. About this image, I want to talk about here. For when they want to take an image, you ask yourself, the first question you ask yourself is, what is the goal of this image at all? What's the purpose of this image in the first place? Did they show us any detail on the stars? No, they didn't. And you're right in that. They didn't show any detail on the stars. But what they are aiming here is, is to look behind the star. We know what a star is. After all, we have the sun near us. We know that it's a star. It is composed of, it's powered of nuclear reactions that happen in the star, which give us energy that appear as light and heat, and different wavelengths of uh, different light in general. For here, about this image of Sirius, I believe they aim to look behind what's behind it. Is there a dust around it? Is there some kind of nebula? Is there, if you look for the single images of this second image here, you will see the companion of the Sirius B. When they want actually study stars, they use different techniques. As I talked with you earlier, stars cannot be resolved with optical telescopes. Hubble is nowhere near resolving the stars as a disk, as a full disk. Like if you look at Jupiter, if you look at Saturn, you will see the full disk. But here in stars, you will not see any kind of disk.
So this is
Uh,
exactly what
as,
we're talking about. That's exactly what we said. That means that telescopes are useless to learn about the stars. They are just trying to show you positions of things they don't even know what it is. Because all you
yeah,
get is like
that's
little dots of lights. We don't care about dots of lights all over
Yeah.
the place. I don't care to
Yeah.
know where it is. I don't even know what they are.
Right. Even,
So,
but if you use
but
the dots of lights as a point of reference, like, all right, this is what we're seeing from afar, but then at some point you're gonna have to zoom in on those dots of light so you could finally resolve them to their finer points. You understand? Which is not at all what NASA does, or that's
Yeah,
not what they truly do. And so basically, they've left the onus into us. So even just kind of what you said, Muhammad, and
yeah,
you just defined what those stars are. How do you know?
it
You're
is.
giving, I mean, it sounds good, it sounds great, and
Yeah,
everything you said is based out of a textbook. None of us have been there. Nobody's going there. No one can ever get there. So
yes, you cannot get there.
we're going based off of what these people have said, and they've already been known to lie about everything. And I'm not
Yeah.
trying to base what I'm not trying to base today's program
Mhm,
off of them lying, but you have to take
mhm.
this into account, especially based off of what it is we're starting to see from our
Uh,
own perspective. You understand?
okay.
So we can't. So
But
just like what, and I'm sorry, I'm going to land my plane with this, so I could
yeah,
give you a chance to speak. But just like what Sam said, we can't take for granted the stuff that we think we know. We can't take for granted the science of it all and assume that, oh well, based off of A, B, and C, then this is D. This is the final result. You
yeah,
understand? So yeah, go ahead. I
yeah.
land my plane with that.
Uh, about you asked me about how do I know about the composition of stars. You are right, and you have the right to say that they can lie about it as you didn't. But there are some simple, I say simple experiments that you can do even in your own backyard.
Uh,
There is a concept I will tell you about. Is it's called the spectroscopy. Spectroscopy.
yes, I
Uh-huh.
know that.
All right. What it basically does is let's take the sun for example. You take a little bit of the light coming from the sun with a solar telescope, a small
Yeah,
solar telescope, for example.
yeah,
You separate that light. You separate it to its full spectrum, and that full spectrum. We know we know that there are materials. Take sodium, for example. When you burn sodium and do a spectrograph of that sodium by separating the light emitted from that fire of the sodium, you
right.
find that some missing wavelengths of light. These wavelengths are every material, every atom in the periodic table that we all know about. Every material has a specific wavelength of light that it absorbs and emits to. If you look at the sun, for example, if it has hydrogen, let's assume, let's build everything on assumptions for the moment.
Right.
Let's assume the sun has hydrogen. If it does, if we do a spectrograph of it, we should see the missing wavelength that corresponds to the element hydrogen, right?
Yeah, right.
Well,
Yeah, I get
uh,
how the principle works. I understand how the
if
principle works. Now we have to take into a we go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't want to cut you off because I spoke a lot. Go
okay,
ahead. I'm sorry.
uh, if we take all the this missing light wavelengths of light in the spectrograph, and if you match them to materials that we can observe here, you can burn things at home and try to see what wavelength or what specific wavelength of light they emit. If you can specify and catalog every material with what wavelength it emitted, and then take that spectrograph of the sun, for example, and lay it down a chart of every wavelength of light that it emitted and every segment of light, every specific wavelength of light that
Mhm.
is missing from the spectrograph. I did this experiment a couple of times with the diffraction grid transient, and I found that there are some very. It's hard to find them with the eye, but if you manage to take an image of it and analyze this spectrograph and
Mhm.
match these missing wavelengths of light with materials you find hydrogen, you find it for sure. You find nitrogen. You ask yourself what is nitrogen doing in the sun, and you remember that the light of the sun is passing through our atmosphere, and nitrogen will absorb that specific wavelength of light that is present in our atmosphere, which therefore we have to make sure that we don't add materials that are already present in our atmosphere. Oxygen, for example, you will find it absorbing light from the spectrograph, making it telling us that there is oxygen in the spectrograph. This
Because of based off of because we have to remember that we're trying to look at their claim is the object is 90, which they don't even know how far the sun is. They've made all these claims. It's 1 million miles, 3 million miles. It's 93 million miles. They don't even know. So we have to assume that all right, an object that far is going to be giving these gases off, right? And so how you're going to get gases in a vacuum, I have no idea. But that's another story. And so we're looking through a spectroscope, right?
yes,
And then we're looking at the sun
yes,
through gases, correct? So we're looking through our own atmosphere, and you're saying we detect nitrogen. Well, the atmosphere, the air that we breathe is like 80% nitrogen. And you're talking
yes,
about oxygen, and the air that we breathe, the breathable air, is like 20% of that, or like 19%, 79%, and then you've got these trace elements and other stuff in
yes.
between. So we
And
have to
that's
look through the lenses of of the breathable air into
yeah,
the void of space, and
yeah,
then the supposed gas that's around the sun, and that's going to tell us exactly what that like these are stories, and
and
nobody
and
could get
and
to these places.
and all that, with no traumatic aberration this time, no kind of aberration of any kind, because you're
yeah,
talking about like seeing at light. So what about aberrations at
yes,
that
yes.
point?
There
So,
are no aberrations in this one.
it's like
Yeah.
one in a billion. Like it's like So that's why it's at one point, scientific people, they have to use their common sense. They have to just say, wait a second, something is wrong here. So that's what we are doing in Flat Earth, with a lot of people, a lot of scientists, a lot of professionals, and we see that we there's a lot of anomalies in our institutions, and now we just realize that in the astronomical circles also there are lots of anomalies. So this is why I wanted to share that with you. But you know I'm open-minded on everything you can say and everything. I'm gonna just like make that video and show people the way we think, the way you think, and let them judge. But
Mm-hmm.
that's that's a nice exchange. But it's too bad we don't see you, man. We have to see you a little bit to see
Yeah.
who you are, man. We see like a logo there. What is that?
I must say, even if I open the camera, nothing will show up.
Oh,
That's
okay,
why.
no problem, no problem,
It's alright if I turn on the camera, but it won't show anything. Yeah.
no problem,
I,
no problem. Next time we'll do something. You'll show us a little bit.
uh,
It's nice to
nice,
meet you, Mohammed.
nice to meet
It's
you
nice to
too.
meet you. Anyways, I know it's late. You also drove a long time. You told me that you were like I don't know somewhere else. So I don't want to abuse your time. Also, we're gonna try and gonna just shape up that video a little bit. Bring the main points, put it online,
Yeah.
and you'll be able to argue a little more about all this. But it was nice. It's nice to have some exchanges with people. I don't think like you. This is how we can progress, I guess.
Mhm.
Hmm.
About Fran made point about the claims earlier. I forgot to get back to it. That goes back to the principles of photography because I was not in the cockpit of an airplane, and I believe they don't let anyone except pilots into the cockpit. If you look in the images, you can take a short exposure, mostly if you want to show the who is inside the cockpit. It is lit usually. It has light inside of it. You can take long exposure, as stars cannot be taken with your everyday phone camera as that single click. You will need to take a long exposure, which is needed to show stars in the background. And also another thing, uh, if you are in a bright place, somewhat has some artificial lights inside, like the cockpit of an airplane. It will make your eyes adapt to the bright light, making it way harder to be able to see the stars in the background. You can if you open your phone, for example, and look your phone is in the foreground, close to you, and the stars behind will appear to disappear at the moment. If you turn off the phone and wait a few seconds, they will start to kind of pop out back into view bit by bit. And about the spectrograph I talked about earlier, you are not analyzing the gases, you are rather analyzing the light. It is true that about the vacuum. And the light does travel with no problems in the vacuum. You can separate the light from the coming from the sun and not worry about the vacuum. About the nitrogen I mentioned, yes, it is. That's why I mentioned it. It's because most of our atmosphere is composed of nitrogen, which you have to compensate for. You need to know how the values, as you said, around 80%, or 70 something percent. You have to compensate for that. I mentioned it not because the sun has nitrogen, but because our own atmosphere contains that hydrogen, that nitrogen, sorry, that will appear in our spectrograph. Uh, and the same principle can also be applied to faraway stars. Take Vega, for example. It's quite a bright star. And it's
Yeah.
getting higher lately these days. I'm looking at right now. You can
Yeah.
do a spectrograph of Vega, for example. You will find it match 90% of the spectrograph of the sun. Maybe a little bit of trace elements, as you said earlier, will be detected.
we're
Small
we're
differences.
we're making we're making assumptions that these things are where they claim they are. These things are doing that what they're claiming they're doing. We're making assumptions, and like they could tell us anything based off of those colors, and they could tell you you're doing an experiment, you're doing this, you're doing that. We've never been to these places. We can't go to these places, even though they claim the Parker Space Probe. I know about it. The Parker Space Sun probe that's actually out and headed towards the sun actually broke speed records at almost 500,000 miles an hour. I get it. These are all claims that they can't prove. They can't take a picture of a sun or anything like that, but they're going to tell us anything, right? And these guys in these white
Okay.
lab coats, of course, we're going to fall for it. So, like, we really, the thing is, my
Uh,
thing is, we truly don't know. And we're saying we truly don't know based off of what we're coming up with, and we're comparing the truth based off of observation, right? Just plain old observation. You don't have to have a white lab coat, you don't have to have a degree, and you could just, all you need is a camera, some eyes, and common sense, right? And some
uh,
time and maybe a little bit of distance. And these guys have no true answer for what it is that we're observing. You understand? So it makes the rest of their story fall flat and without a base, because they can't give us a proper reason for all the claims that they've made, and it just falls flat. You know what I'm saying?
if you can turn on the screen projection for a second, I have an image. This is a photo. I took it on August 29th last year.
Nice.
Uh, this image here, for example, it shows the root structure, even though it's just a phone image. This is the sunspot, as you can see. This can be traced as, for example, I did the observation on a paper. I honestly lost the paper, but
Right.
I did, where I traced the sun. I didn't have the solar filter at the time. I would project the image of the sun on a piece of paper and draw circles with the same size, just so I could point out the sunspots on that piece of paper. And
Right.
over the course of a few, on 10 days, I believe, it was a long time from the experiment, I saw that the sunspots shifted to the side with every day, every passing day, they shifted. They seem to rotate.
Right.
Therefore, you can conclude with 100% certainty that the sun does rotate indeed, and the sunspots themselves did move. They moved north and south, and you also notice that sunspots never appear on the northern and southern poles of the sun, which
Okay.
is you can say that it's an assumption to say that the sun has a north and south pole, but
Okay.
let's not let's say it has the pole for now. But
So
over the course,
go
Mhm.
ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't want to steal. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. over the course of observing the sun for around the weeks I told you about,
Right.
I noticed that it rotated about, and I could actually point out an axis of rotation if you if you trace the path that the sunspot took.
Sunspotting.
You
I
can
got you.
yeah you can make sure that they all move to the same side, and they actually the shape of the sunspot itself is like if you rotated it. You can be 100% sure from that image that the sun is a spherical shape, not
Mhm.
just this, not in this sphere or
Yes.
of
Right.
a
So the
volume.
sun,
But,
Yeah,
but I
the
have a
sun is a
problem.
the sun is
Yeah.
the I think it's funny. The sun is perfectly spherical, but the Earth is
yeah.
shaped like an oblate spheroid, and
Uh,
everything
uh,
else is supposedly that is spherical. The moon is spherical. The Earth is the only
uh,
one shaped like a football or an egg, right? And
But
everything else is
yeah.
but
So
I just I have a problem with the sun because what is the distance of the sun? At what distance is the sun from the Earth according to what they say?
uh,
What you learned?
for the I did not memorize that number to be honest, but
Approximately 100 million
Ninety-three
kilometers,
million miles.
light years. I don't know.
Yeah, 93
kilometers.
million
Yeah,
miles
in
on
kilometers.
average, they say, right?
Uh, uh,
93 million
uh,
miles.
Right.
yeah, the
That
method of calculating that number is just trigonometry. You can use, for example, you take the Earth as a reference.
no
To
problem.
observe to observing point. It was done, I believe, by sailors back then that assumed the calculated, not actually assumed, they calculated the distance of the sun
No, no,
based on they took a calculation of the length of the shadow casted by a pole by a
no
vertical
problem.
pole.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't argue. I don't argue.
Yeah.
But whatever you say, if it's
Eratosthenes.
100 million kilometers, let's say it's 100 million kilometers. If you say like 100
Yeah,
million light years, parsecs, I don't know. I have no
yeah,
problem.
yeah,
So now the question is that if you can take such a clear picture of
yeah,
such an object so far
yeah,
away, how
yeah,
come you cannot take pictures of other stars that are like as far away, or that
yeah.
are like on the other side, or even a little farther or closer, like like that clear?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. For that, the sun, let's say, let's take the number 40 million kilometers, for example. For the stars, for the Sirius, for example, or Alpha Centauri. Alpha Centauri is 4 light years away. It's our closest neighbor star, according to their
Yeah.
calculation. For example.
There we go. According to them. There we
Yeah,
go. Right.
Okay, no
yeah,
problem. Okay, so
yeah.
so there is nothing that is like 50 million light years or 90 million light years, 50 million kilometers away from the Earth. It starts with the sun. That means the sun is the first, the closest thing. Like there's nothing, all
Yeah.
around the Earth on the other direct direction. Let's say that the sun is, of course, is not local. So there is nothing on the other side at like 93 million kilometers. There's no
No,
object you
because
can see.
we're surrounded by the Kuiper belt after I forget which planet. I think it's Saturn. After Saturn, we have the Kuiper belt around us, and then you have, the rest of our solar system, and then after our solar system, you've got it's empty, and then I don't even know. Like, it's the story's so ridiculous. After, if you take time and you sit down and you pick the story apart, it is so silly. And there are certain aspects of the story that they don't include when they make their observations, and it becomes obvious as we start to come into the truth. Like, we're looking at the sun, or we're looking out in the space, we're looking at the we're supposedly looking at these other stars, and then there's none of this Kuiper belt craziness, none of these Kuiper belt,
Yeah.
you know,
For the
meteorites
about
and stuff that are
about
passing over.
about about the about the Kuiper belt. Kuiper belt is around after Neptune, quite far away, way too far away, and objects are they exaggerate in this about these subjects. They exaggerate a lot about the ratios. The Kuiper belt, they show it as a cloud around it, but matter
Right.
of fact, it's mostly object between the object and the other one. It's a huge distance to actually to even see the Kuiper belt. It will not affect any of your observation, and it's mostly rocks, small rocks. It won't be visible, of course, for your telescope. You asked
Yeah.
me about how come we take an image of the sun like this, being bright. I mean, detailed like
Hmm.
this. For stars, let's take Alpha Centauri for example. It's you see how did he come up with the number for light years away? I mean, they could have just guessed it. You are right to ask that question.
That's all they
But
do.
yeah, you have to also know how did they do that. You ask yourself. It's not only look at the number, but look at how did they acquire that number. Did they just guess it? Did they calculate it? Did they measure it? Did they for the method on how to determine? Again, it's trigonometry to space calculating distance. It's almost all about trigonometry. If, for example, now it's March, moving on 6 months into the future, about around November or December. If we observe Alpha Centauri, for example, uh, if observe it today at March, half March, and then look at it again at the other opposite side of the year, the Earth would have moved half half a circle in its orbit. Take your sample out at arm's length, for example. Close your left eye and cover let's say something in the other wall of your room with your hand. Then close the right eye and open the other eye. You will see that object shifted in the background compared to your thumb, right?
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah. That same principle is applied on let's say, for example, the Alpha Centauri. I'm using it as it shows this effect quite prominently. If you take an image like which you described earlier as useless image, which are
Hmm.
fuzzy. Indeed, they are fuzzy and they don't show a lot of data. But if you take actual technical images, which usually won't even be understandable by if you look at this, it will be sometimes even numbers, not even an image. If you take an image of Alpha Centauri, for example, and you need to take some background stars which are much further away. If you take an image of such star, as I said today, and take again an image of the same Alpha Centauri and the background star, you need some good equipment for such image and good resolution as well. If you realize this image, scrolling between the two images, you will see a very slight shift in the background style, just like that thumb thing that I showed you just now, which you tried out, and it's just some basic knowledge, but it's applied on a much bigger scale, much bigger scale. You can, for example, stand in front of your yard and let's say look at high building, for example, or a very tall tree. They move 50 meters left or right and look at it again at the tree and compare it to some background building far away, a few hundred, not hundred, a few, let's say 500 meters behind, or and the tree is around 200 meters. You can see quite the difference in how they shift. That shift, if you take measurements of you know how much you traveled, for example, which you calculated from you need first using the shade method and moving
Hmm.
large distances over the earth. If you take that and determine a number, even close the number, we cannot determine, no matter how good our technology can get,
Hmm.
we cannot determine it very precisely after all. But we can go get precise enough to make some good measurements that we can rely on. For example, uh, you take this image. That's principle. As you calculated, as I told you about the building, you know how much you move left and right, which you started, which applies as how much in the orbit we moved around the sun, which we determine from which is p divided by 2 after all. It's basic math that they learn in primary school sometimes. You divide that distance of the sun, which is the radius of the our orbit, multiplied by 2 and multiplied and divided by 2, you know how much the distance you have made. Using that math, you can then determine how much, and depending on the shift of the Alpha Centauri star, you can determine how much you moved. That's how calculations work, and it's simplified. I'm talking.
They
I might introduce myself at the beginning. I'm just still a student after all.
yeah,
I'm just still learning all this.
these concepts sound amazing, but I find it
Yeah.
funny that they're making all these claims and they
Mhm.
have nothing to show for it. They have nothing to show for it except for in books and in stories and in DVDs with CGI and everything else. Like there's nothing to show for it. And meanwhile, we have people on the ground here that are starting to observe the night sky, and we see
Mhm.
something totally different than what they can show us. Why is that?
Mhm. About
And
first
I mean,
about
we
the
could say aberration all day, but at some point, something's got to give, you know?
sure, of course, something will give you also for let's say back to the assumptions. If you have to extend the calculations, they are not assumptions after all. One plus one equals two. Two is not an assumption. It's a real, actual, precise
That's the
result.
whole the debate. That's the whole debate. I
Yeah.
tell you something. If I wanted to
Uh,
sell you, like, a piece of glass as a very
yeah.
expensive diamond, how will
Mm-hmm.
I do? I will put it in a very expensive package. If I
Uh,
put, like, like I take a box, like, and I put like real diamonds, like, a box that's gonna cost like $10 million, and I'm
mm-hmm.
gonna put like a piece of glass inside. You're never gonna believe this is glass. You're gonna have to believe this is a diamond, just like the diamond on the Queen of England's, crown. You can never believe that it's a piece of glass, but this is how they do. In order to sell you something, they have to package it, in a very expensive package. So spending all that money in telescopes and all that technology and everything, it makes you, it forces you to believe that what's, wrapped up inside is true, because it will be like crazy, to invest so much into a package for something that is worthless. But this is the method, I use for by all these people for, like, hundreds and thousands of years. So the thing is that we have to make sure that we don't get fooled by the package, and make sure that what's inside has actually some value. And
Yeah.
this is what we are doing today. We are, we are now saying, wait, let's stop everything and just, like, double check everything we've been taught, sorry, because it's like, it doesn't make sense. At one point, it just gets into a conflict, a very serious
Mm-hmm.
conflict between, our common sense, basic common sense,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's what we're doing. And actually, it's working.
Exactly.
So
That's the
Mm-hmm.
thing, is it's working. And those that and I'm not nothing against you, Muhammad, because
no, it's good, it's
you
good
seem like
guy,
a
it's good
very
guy.
well knowledged man, and you know your
Yeah.
stuff. But there are those that take the things like the equations that you mentioned, the mathematics, and much like the packaging, that's part of the package, right? And those numbers are there. We've at least what we've recognized is many of those numbers are there to fool you. They're there to fool you and throw you off kilter and and not let you truly see what's in front of you and your common sense. And they're disguising it, and they're basically clouding your common sense. They're making everything
Mm-hmm.
fuzzy for you, and then they lead you towards the wrong path. And I mean, we could go all day. We could talk about that all day and how they do it and why they do, or why we think they might do it. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, at the end of the day, uh just understanding that this earth isn't doing what they claim that it's doing, that basic understanding has brought us to where we understand that their math is are just full of lies. They're part of the packaging. They're fluff,
Mm-hmm.
right? Their math, and then their theories, their quote unquote theories based off of where everything appears to be, right? So
That's it.
it's not the best thing for somebody that spent a lot of time in accredited university and stuff like that. It's not the best thing for them to hear because you spent a lot of money and a lot of your brain power and a lot of time involved in those institutions and all that education. But once you get to that place to where you realize that a lot of these things is fiction, then it makes things a lot easier and better for your brain and your life.
Yeah, and so did we spend also a lot of time and money and in those institutions. You're not the only one, because we know how to to tell you this, because we were like you. If like 2 years ago you would have told me that they never went to the moon, I would have laughed at you. So come on, you're crazy. Come on, get out of here. Or you would have told me that the Earth is flat, I would have said you just called you talk to a
Crazy.
psychiatrist. So that's normal. We know that because it's too big to swallow. But when you know how to refrain your feelings, because as a scientist you shouldn't feel nothing, should just double check even the craziest theories. Just double check them. You have nothing to lose, and then you can find out if it's true or not, if it's relevant or not. But the thing is that we know we know what you believe, what you feel. And just to tell you, just try to check even the most the craziest thing you ever heard, because sometimes crazy things may hide some truths and some explanations. So check
Yeah.
it out. Look, it's like about like 2.5 hours we're already on, so I'm
Oh,
gonna have to cut that short, because here it's also like 3-4 in the morning.
yeah.
So I have to wake up in a not too long from now. But check it out, Mohammed. If you want, just get more more pictures, more
Yeah. Yeah.
arguments and everything. We can come back another time, anytime.
Yeah.
No problem. We can talk about
Mohammed,
whatever you want.
I'd really
Talk to
love to
me.
see more of your stuff, man. I'd really love to see more of your pictures.
Thank
You had
you.
some
Yeah,
real
yeah.
good stuff.
Just bring some friends also. Bring other people also that have other arguments, like so we
Yeah.
don't and so we can make something good. We can, and then we can let people decide whatever
Hmm.
they want. No problem.
Yep.
So take it easy. We'll
Uh,
talk. We'll talk soon. We'll talk soon. You're in contact with me with through Messenger. No problem.
uh,
You have a good night,
Goodbye.
Mohammed. Have a good night, Sam. Thanks for having
Goodbye,
me
my
on,
friend.
y'all.
Goodbye, my
All right.
friend.
Take care
Goodbye.
now.
Goodbye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye bye.